This episode of Test Drive is brought to you by Elmec and their EV Duty Smart Home Charger.
Hello viewers, welcome to a winter snowstorm review of the 2024 Volvo C40 Recharge. If you want to know everything about this vehicle, we just published a video on it, going over all the features, tech, and all of that, talking about this vehicle still in a winter experience, but not in a storm. Now, here's how volatile the weather is here in Canada. I noticed it was snowing on my cameras, my security cameras at the house, ran outside, grabbed all my equipment, set everything up, thinking, great, it's like coming down like crazy. I'm gonna go film an awesome video. In the time it took me to set up all the GoPros and the audio, it stopped. So not any active snow coming down as of this second, but I assure you viewers, it was snowing about 5 minutes ago. So the roads, as you can see from our front facing camera, are pretty, full of snow. They're not terrible. This isn't going to be a, whiteout condition stuck in the ditch kind of area for driving, but it still poses a bit of a risk if you're driving along, especially if you don't have winter tires, or if you're like some people that like to drive around with no headlights on. These are all things that you should keep in mind when you're driving in winter. So we're going to be talking a little bit about how this vehicle performs, because we did test it in some sort of lighter snow, but not as heavy as this, not as much snow on the road as this. So we're going to be talking about it briefly to see how it does. Now, as I mentioned, winter tires are key. We are driving Michelin X Ice Snow winter tires on this vehicle, and they work pretty well. I mean, we've got quite a bit of snow here. I'll show you. If I slam on the brakes, yeah, there's some slippage, right? But that's because the roads are pretty much ice underneath here. But the vehicle did come to a, more or less stop. I didn't do an actual emergency stop there and then put it right to the floor. But, we gotta obviously be paying attention to what you're doing as you're driving around. And that's why driving in these kind of conditions is important for us here at Test Drive. We want to see how the vehicles perform, because it is going to be getting cold. I mean, right now it says on the screen -3 degrees. I kind of believe it. It is pretty cold outside. But, a couple things to keep you warm inside here with the Volvo. We do have a heated washer nozzle. We'll see if that kind of clears things off. Not really. Oh, everything's pretty frozen. So that's not ideal. I think I'm going to actually have to stop and fix that before we continue on with much more of our drive. But you get the idea. You've got that heated steering wheel, heated seats, front and back, dual zone automatic climate control, all these, really important stuff that you would want to have out of a vehicle that you're driving in the winter, obviously with an electrified propulsion system. You're supposed to be getting 414 kilometers with this. We're currently seeing 270. Now that's at 89% charge, but we've been averaging around 300 is what the car's been telling us we can do given the current weather conditions outside. Obviously it is much colder than average here. This is kind of what we would be expecting in the winter anytime, but you're not going to be getting that 400 kilometer range. So 300 kilometers is pretty much on par with what I would be expecting at this point in time. I also apologize for the darker footage that you're going to be seeing here, just because it's 4:56 p.m. and things are getting dark here. Obviously it's a little cloudy because of the storm. I did clear off the wipers to kind of break them free. They're still not working, so apologies also to the front camera. But we're here in a closed area. I want to be able to show you really quickly. Again, there's like a dusting of snow on the front here, on the ground. If we gun it, car loses a little bit of traction, but picks up no problems whatsoever. And we hear that from some people who have either plug-in hybrids of luxury vehicles or full electrics. They don't feel that there's good enough performance, low traction, things like that. No problems whatsoever. If I were to hit the brakes again, now that's a full press. No, we're not going super fast, but it works out pretty well. I don't have any issues there. This thing won't do donuts, obviously. It's four-wheel drive, and I wouldn't want to really be doing it anyway because, it's not my car. But you don't really want to do that with a Volvo. The idea of this vehicle is safety, and that is what this does extremely well. Again, even if I gun it through that corner there, traction is fantastic. And part of that reason is because of the winter tires. You got to have a good set of winter tires. I don't know how much I could stress that. It's not enough just to have winter tires, but a good set. Now, obviously, slightly slower speeds going off in corners there. Doesn't get maximum traction, but good luck with any other vehicles. I mean, there's been few vehicles that we've tested that have been absolutely stellar in the winter because, again, it comes down to overall winter tires. And while I don't have a problem with Michelin X Ice, I do find that, obviously top end, biggest bang for your buck would be something like Pirelli Scorpion winter tires. We had that recently with the BMW X5. We've tested it before on other luxury SUVs. They've worked out great. These ones, not so bad at all. But, you know, we're going to be driving a little bit around here. I'm going to try to stay warm. Every time I get out of the vehicle, it resets my settings. So I have to turn down my heated steering wheel. It gets very warm, even on the second setting. And obviously, you get out of the car, it shuts itself off. So that's a bit of a drag. So I went out just to film a couple little shots of B-roll, as well as take a photo for the thumbnail. During that time, obviously, the car shuts off. So, you know, you can tell it that you want to keep it running. For the HVAC, at least, it's just kind of annoying. Because as we talked about in our review on this, there's no button. There's no start-stop button. The vehicle is either on or it's off, based on whether or not you've put your foot on the brake and shifted into gear, and then if you open up the driver's door. So that is in our full review of that vehicle, of this vehicle rather. So you can check that out if you're interested. But yeah, we're driving around here. Again, you know, roads they're not plowed, and they don't do really any salting or de-icing here too much. Not in St. Thomas, at least. On the 400 series highways in Ontario, they do have some liquid de-icer, but you know, for the most part, this is just regular asphalt. You know, last night we had snow. It switched from snow to rain, more or less freezing rain, so there is a little bit of an ice layer underneath some of this. And again, vehicle's performing very well. I don't have any concerns about it. You know, again, we take it through a corner here. You know, if you're driving like a normal person would based on the weather conditions, it's fine, but vehicle picks up excellently. That's exactly what we want out of an electric vehicle, out of any type of vehicle, especially with four-wheel drive. So it's been working out pretty well for me. I haven't had any concerns driving around. It's a bit of a bummer, man. I mean, had I come out maybe 10 minutes earlier, it would have still been snowing. It was actually quite beautiful, the amount of snow coming down and all that. I just missed it by that much. I wasn't even planning on filming this video today because they were calling for like 30 centimeters of snow. Everybody was panicking. Oh my God, so much snow. Everybody like, don't go anywhere, stay inside, you know, hide your kids, hide your wife kind of thing. This is how much we got. Like half an inch is pretty much all the snow that we got. So I wasn't even thinking of coming out here because I just, you know, woke up this morning, we had a dust outside. I thought, well, this is going to be a waste of time. Why am I going to go and film a video in the snow when there's no snow? So at least there's a little bit here today, but yeah, it's been working out. Now, one of the benefits of driving a vehicle like this Volvo is a lot of the sensor equipment is behind the windshield here. So if you're driving along, snow gets in the way, you can clear it off, and for the most part, things will work. You know, I haven't driven this in enough snow to be able to tell you what systems wouldn't be functional. Things usually like adaptive cruise control, they're first to stop working if there's heavy snow that ends up blocking up the front of the vehicle. This vehicle also, because of the coupe design, you know, you're losing out quite a bit of back space in terms of seeing out of the windshield there, the rear windshield. And there's no washer for the camera. The camera is very low, just above the license plate. I find it's a little too low and it gets gunked up pretty quickly. We talked about it again in our episode on this, but because there's no wiper back there either, there's no nozzles going back there to wash it off. So something I mentioned would have been nice is if Volvo included a way to wash the rear camera, and again, maybe having a video rear view camera. We've seen that from a lot of luxury brands recently, and even some consumer brands have started to add that as a feature available on their vehicles. So a couple things like that just kind of enhance the overall luxury experience, overall safety experience with this vehicle, as those are two things that, you know, Volvo is known for. Obviously they are a luxury brand now, but also a safety brand first and foremost, and you know, things like that I think would just be a little bit safer, especially in winter driving like this. So we're coming up to a roundabout here. We've got plenty of them in St. Thomas, some drifting snow going around as well. We're sort of in farm country, so we have a lot of wide open fields, and that can cause some visibility issues, but you know, cars taking it. I do feel the rear end just kind of understeering a little bit, going just a little too loose in the back end there. So you know, this is a rear wheel biased vehicle. You know, one of the changes that they've made with this platform is now the single drive unit is in the rear, so it powers the rear wheels. Because this is a twin motor, it's the same setup, front motor, front back, they're both the same, doesn't matter. But you know, it's something to keep in mind if you're going for a 24 and you're going for a single drive unit, it's going to be rear wheel drive moving forward. But yeah, just like a little bit of like understeer there. kind of coming through the corners. I would have liked to have seen that tidied up just a tiny bit, but for the most part, it is handling the snow pretty well. Is this a huge snowstorm? No. Coming up to another roundabout here, we'll see if we have the same experience. We're going to be doing a 3/4 turn around here, see if we end up feeling a little bit more of the understeer, because going 180 degrees through one, not so much, but coming through here, yeah, I mean, I don't know, it was a little bit better. So again, could just even be just the traction of the road. Maybe the other one I was at, a little bit icier, was outside of town, whereas this one is inside of town, so who knows. But yeah, I mean, so far, and again, no issues with this vehicle. Yeah, a little disappointed in the actual weather, not so much the vehicle, but I have complete confidence driving around in this. So if that has been a concern of yours, whether you go with a gas vehicle or an electric, if you're worried about it, there's key reasons why an electric vehicle will perform pretty well in the snow with winter tires. Because it's heavy, you just have better traction overall. Those tires are being forced down to the ground a little bit more than they would be in an ICE vehicle, so you ultimately get better grip. And if you really want to know kind of how that compares to other electric vehicles, take a look back at the video that we did on my 2018 Ford Focus electric that I had when I owned that vehicle, because the engine or the motor was sitting in the front and then the battery packs were in the back and it was front wheel drive. It didn't perform very well in the snow. This, because the batteries run along the floor, motors are kind of even, it's more or less evenly distributed in terms of weight overall. This feels much better on the road, and again, four-wheel drive makes a big difference over front wheel drive. So key differences there when it comes to this vehicle. They all sort of make sense. There's nothing to be surprised about, but there you go. I was hoping for a little bit more snow. I hope you can appreciate, at least we did do some testing in it, but not quite as big of a snowstorm as we were hoping for. Hopefully that continues. I would really like to be able to get through 2024's winter season here without too much snow. But anyway, if you have any questions about this vehicle, as always, we do try to get back to everybody in the comments. So please leave a comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And also, share the video online. The more views we get, the more subscribers we get, the better for our metrics as we continue to grow the channel. So until next time, thanks for watching and take care.